Hello, hello, hello. There is a storm a brewing, and I don't just mean in American politics. There's a storm brewing outside. We are live for the Xander Gibb show. We are just sharing the links, and we will be getting started right after the news on the channels that it goes out on. But in the meantime, welcome to the chat. And welcome to the show. Got some great guests for you tonight. And it takes so long to do this. I need a producer. Who wants to come be my producer to share all of the on the pages that we go out on. Send your applications with your resume to via the Xander Gibb show at xandergibb.com. Right, let's get to the page. You can hear the storm there in the background. And the storm is a brewing. It's whistling down. And I'm just gonna turn down the volume so I can be in the live chat. Hello to everyone in the live chat. I will, of course, be saying hello to you individually as soon as I have shared the show. But you can help me with that by pressing that share button. And when I say share, I mean share as in share the show, not share as in the singer. Oh no, sorry. Here we go. Okay, so click that share button now while I press share on all of these. Hi, Olive. On all of these groups that we are a member of, making sure that I don't put it in any of the wrong groups, because you know what Facebook are like. Facebook love to ban you for absolutely anything. You may be wondering who Olive is. I will tell you a little bit more about that in just a mere moment. Here we go. Did you know that Cher actually wrote a song about Mike Bloomberg? Did you know that? Who can tell me in the live feed what the song was that Cher wrote about Mike Bloomberg? I'll give you a prize for this. I'll give you a copy of my album if you can come up with the name of the song that Cher wrote for Mike Bloomberg. Anyone in the live feed can come up with that, we'll give you a prize. Once again, the question is, what song did Cher write for Mike Bloomberg? I'll be surprised to know if anyone... Yeah, Cher wrote a song about Mike Bloomberg. Think about it. I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about it, and then I'll sing the first line before we go into the opening titles. Yeah, it's a real question. As if I would I kid you guys? No, I wouldn't. So finally, the question is, what song did Cher write about Mike Bloomberg? Did we all give up? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you. The song was called Little Man. And if you don't believe me, you can go and check it out. We are going to go live in 5, 4, 3, 2. Cue opening title.
Love, it has been good to me this time around. Things were they were bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact and I can find no rest. This is love, yeah, love. Never known true love before. Seen so many counterfeits that left me on the floor. This is love, yeah, love. All will come to those who wait. Time it cannot know the bounds, and eras don't dictate.
Well, hello and welcome to the Xander Gibb Show. I am, of course, Xander Gibb, because who else would I be on the Xander Gibb Show, the talk show that really does get you talking, the best in Patriot broadcasting, live from an undisclosed location. And on today's show, I get on my soapbox just for a change and give you the chance to get on yours too in our phone in. 845-363-4747, 845-363-4747. The number is up there, I think. On today's show, Mark Sutherland, political commentator, drops by to break down this week's hottest topics, and naval sailor Kris Saucier joins us to give us an update regarding his legal situation. You can have your say below, down there in the live feed. For some of you, it's over there or over there. Maybe it's even up there. And as I said, you can call us when we get to that section, 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747 if you're in the USA, or via Skype if you're in the United Kingdom. I will, of course, be back on the Joe Messina Show, the real side, at 7 Pacific time. And you can follow me on social media and check me out at xandergibb.com. So it was a very interesting week, just for a change in the world. Roger Stone sentenced to 3 years in jail. Whatever next. All of us who support Donald have been attacked, and this is really going too far. We're going to talk about that with Mark Sutherland later. Meghan and Harry are banned from using the title Sussex Royal on anything they're attached to, and this is at the behest of Queen Elizabeth. The word royal cannot be used by them as they're leaving the monarchy next month, and their non-profit organization will not be called Sussex Royal. I don't know, maybe they can call it Sussex X Royal. Who knows? I'm tired of the growing homophobia amongst conservatives. Firstly, Richard Grenell was appointed by President Trump, an openly gay man, to serve as the acting director of national intelligence. The left and the right are focusing on his sexuality, not his ability to do the job. And the same is happening with regards to Pete. And I'm being told 10 different ways of pronouncing his name. Buttigieg. If we are going to attack him, Pete Buttigieg, for his sexuality, we can't defend Richard Grenfell from the left when this happens. I'm sad that some of my fellow conservatives are referring to these people as sodomites. And whilst I disagree with Pete's politics, and it's fine to disagree on that, but why are we sinking to the lows of attacking people for being gay? Isn't that really, for the left? Aren't we better than this? And isn't it the same identity politics that we loathe? I'm not playing this game, folks. Either side of the aisle. Homophobia is not clever, and it really does disgust me. And I think this week we've actually forgotten how to be kind, whether it be from that 9-year-old little Australian boy, Caden, who suffers from dwarfism and has been bullied by his classmates, or Caroline Fleck, the host of Love Island, who committed suicide recently, or the person on social media that we disagree with. You know what? Block them. Just try and be a bit kinder. And I am trying to practice what I preach before anybody says anything different. That was my soapbox. If you want to get on your soapbox, go to xandergibb.com/contact. That's xandergibb.com/contact. I'm going to come to the live feed now. and say hello to everyone that's in there if I can actually see, because it's in such small writing. Hello to my Gina. Hello to Olive Lynch out there. That's my cousin who says I look like my uncle. So I've agreed now when she references me as my uncle, I'm going to call her by her mother's name, which I know will infuriate her. So big hugs to you, Olive. Hello to Chet from Freedom on Deck. Yes, Cher did write that song, and the song was called Little Man. He's tried, Chet says he's tried Googling the Cher song, but couldn't find it. Yeah, it was called Little Man. Hello to Dan Newmeyer, my old stalker friend. I hope you are well. Hello to everybody that's in the live feed but isn't in the chat room. Come and join us. We don't bite. We're going to take a couple of calls. 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. If you are in these United States, I better switch the Skype on because it means no one is going to be able to get through. That's 845-363-4747. Tell us what you think. Tell us how interesting this week has been. Tell us how you think it's going to go with Roger Stone. Is Donald Trump damned if he pardons him and damned if he doesn't? Do we think that finally Hillary Clinton is going to be brought to justice for the fact that she deleted 33,000 classified emails? Now with all this coming out with regards to the evidence of the politicizing of the FBI and the DOJ, does it mean that these people are finally going to go to jail? I will believe it when I see it. We've probably got time for one call. 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. Yes, that was the name of the song, Little Man. Hello to Martha. Welcome to the show. And welcome to everyone that's watching and listening, wherever you are in the world. It's very stormy here. I don't know if you can hear it whistling in the back. That's not the choir of angels singing in the background. That is the storm that's happening locally. 845-363-4747. Give us a call. 845-363-4747. Get it off your chest. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think about Mayor Pete. Personally, I totally disagree with his politics, but I don't think he should be harassed for his sexuality. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Is this the pizza place? I need a large pie with extra anchovies.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. You're barred because you never tip. How are you, Chet?
So,
welcome to the show.
I'm good. I'm getting kind of fed up with the Democrats constantly talking about investigations into our president. Now they're talking about the fact that they want to investigate his latest pardon.
Right.
And you go through the sheer numbers of pardons that Barack Obama handed out.
Yeah.
And actually, some of the people that he pardoned were convicted terrorists.
Absolutely.
And if the Democrats want to start going down this road with us, we can do that.
For sure.
I honestly believe, Xander, that Mike Bloomberg was put in this race to take out Bernie Sanders. And they know President Trump's going to get reelected anyway. So at this point, what they'll do is they'll let that happen. They're going to keep going down the road of trying to investigate President Trump for crimes he hasn't committed. That's all they have.
But you have to feel sorry, a little bit sorry, like half sorry for Bernie Sanders. I don't believe that nomination was, I think he was heavily compensated last time. And I think that maybe he's doing it this time. But it would be an interesting option for Bernie versus the Donald. I would like to see those debates, because let's face it, we need to get a lot of popcorn in for these debates when it gets down to the, final two candidates. Would you not agree? Because the Dem debates are kind of like a done deal. They're all idiots. It's like the Village People right now. What do you think about that?
Well, watching it the other night, between the pandering and virtue signaling, I couldn't stomach it for over 15 minutes. I think President Trump would actually wipe the floor with Bernie Sanders. Right. I think Bernie Sanders is a very dangerous person. I think if he was ever elected to the highest position in the United States of America, this country would actually burn. And I actually really do believe that the Democrat Party sees that. believe it or not, and they're trying to stop it.
Well, you can't.
So,
Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, so they have no real option.
No.
They have nobody that's going to stand in the way of President Trump, so I think they're going to actually kind of give it to us and see what they can come up with next. They
Right.
don't have anybody that has that type of messaging that Donald Trump does. Donald Trump is still packing arenas. You know, they can't pack a high school gymnasium.
No,
Xander.
absolutely. And this, I can't remember the numbers. Like, it was either 79 or 89 Muslims are running for public office this time. You know, I don't have a problem with peaceable Muslims, but the ones that we seem to have in office right now are only hell bent on destroying America and bringing in Sharia law, and actually the dishonesty that comes with liberalism. How do you feel about that? And isn't it kind of second stage infiltration?
Yeah, well, then we'll start to look like London looks right now.
Yeah.
And we can go down that path. The reason we put President Trump into office was to stop that. But you got to think about life after Trump. We'll get another 4 years of Trump. We got to make sure that we keep going down that road of making America great again.
We do.
Keeping America great. And you really do need a vetting system that's very strong. We saw that somebody from Al-Qaeda actually got through on our refugee program. He was a general for Al-Qaeda, for God's sakes. He was in the United States of America, hiding out in Arizona. Luckily, we got a hold of him. But there are others in here from ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and, you know, it's basically sleeper cells that are in the United States of America and over by you and in Europe, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. We have to keep vigilant, and we have to turn things around, and that's the toughest part, is turning things around. It's not an easy thing to do.
And it's another advert for extreme vetting, and if that offends anybody, then don't come to America. You know, the only people that have rights in the United States are American citizens, not visitors. You don't have a right to visit the United States, and if you cannot work within the rules of the United States, then don't come. We are time bound, brother. Tell us who you've got on your show this weekend, if you can remember.
Yeah, we got Josh and Nicole Landers. They're from the Parent to Parent Network.
Brilliant.
They've got a lot going on over in Baltimore, standing up for the children in the public schools, which has become a very difficult thing. We've got a couple other guests on the way, too, and it's just going to be a show mostly about pointing out the dangers of going back to the left. We got to keep going down the MAGA lane and keep America great. That's what it's all about.
Now, I noticed on your feed that someone criticized you for even joking about Pete Buttigieg. I noticed what you said was nothing to do with his sexuality, but I thought, you know, I want us to be kinder, but I'm a comedian. I'm not allowed to joke now because it's hate speech. I can't joke about anything, you know?
Well, the joke was, and I called him Pete, but I'm not going to say it on your airwaves. But
right.
I didn't mean it because he's gay.
No.
I meant it because it's a funny name. You know, people, first of all, stop having such thin skin and know when to call it when it needs to be called, and when it doesn't, don't bother.
No,
and anybody out there that's getting my message or your message twisted, there's this little thing you can do called scrolling. And that means you can go past what I say. You don't have to comment on it. You don't have to even look at it. You can just go right on by.
Absolutely. And just a very quick final point. I actually realized today that it's an election year and all the gloves come off and everybody starts hating again. But you know, I don't want to be part of that this time. I'll debate people, but as soon as they start to get nasty, they're gone, they're blocked. It's just not worth it, is it?
No, and we just got to promote the message that we're promoting, which is to keep Donald Trump in office and also to make the changes that need to be made on your side of the pond. We all have to work together to push back against the evil that's upon us right now. It really is true.
I'm sorry to cut you short, but we have to go because my next guest is calling in. But thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for calling in, chat. My next guest is political commentator Mark Sutherland, calling us from, I don't know what happened there, from the UK. I hope he calls back. I didn't decline his call, but Skype is so touchy, I'm guessing it's run by liberals. Did I say that? We're just waiting for Mark Sutherland. Here we go. So please join me in welcoming back to the show. I don't know what the hell is happening here. I'm clicking answer and it's So please join me in welcoming back to the show the one, the only, the fabulous Mr. Mark Sutherland. How is the world with you, sir?
It's very well, Xander. Thank
Good.
you very much. It's
Good.
Wonderful to be back.
I don't know if it's stormy where you are, but where I am in the UK, obviously under heavy guard, being such a huge celebrity, but there's a huge storm. Have you got that where you are too?
Yes, it's very, very windy. And one of the reasons I'm a little bit quiet is because everyone in my house is asleep.
Oh, really?
I'm not in a position, just trying to not wake them up. But no, it's very, very windy. But we've had our rain in the past over the last few days.
Oh, God, yes, it's been so stormy. We always do a little bit of a weather check. Yes, welcome back to the show. I want to do a little bit of a UK post-Brexit recce because the world was supposed to end when the UK left the EU. We were going to starve to death. The NHS was going to be sold to Donald Trump. There would be no diabetes meds and heart meds, and the sky was going to fall. We were going to be banned from Europe. No Europeans would love us anymore, but none of that really happened. I mean, okay, maybe the last point, but did the Europeans really ever love us anyway? In reality, the process of Brexiting is going to take a year, and already Macron is begging to fish in our waters. But should we just tell him to frog off? I said frog, not anything else. What do you say about that?
Well, I think the thing is that they've now got a 63 billion euro hole in their budget to fill.
Good.
Because we are no longer going to be contributing to that, which is excellent. What we've seen is, I think we've now seen them on the back foot. They are rather worried. They have been trying to get us to have complete alignment in regard to EU law, in regard to trading, etc., etc. And we, quite rightly, are refusing to do that. They've been offering us a Canada trade deal, and suddenly they're saying, no, we're not offering that. There's a lot of saber rattling as they get ready to then enter into negotiations in March. And yes, as you rightly said, food is in the shops, pharmaceuticals are in the shops, the planes are in the air, and all the Project Fear and all the rest. We now look back and think, what the heck was all that about, frankly, Xander? So you're absolutely right. We have until December to sort out a trade agreement with Europe, and at this rate, the way it's going,
not going to happen.
We could end up rather than saying no, we're not going to have a deal. We'll just trade under the WTO rules, Article 24, and walk away.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I don't know about you because obviously we have a new prime minister here in the United Kingdom since the last time we talked. I do like Boris Johnson, but he is on notice. I am kind of keeping a close eye on him. But one of the things that does concern me is he's already a little bit flip-floppy with regarding the EU because he said he'd never pay them a divorce settlement. He's actually going to give that to them now. Is this a sign of things to come, or am I just being too, I don't know, do I need to give him a bit more of a chance before I go and kick his butt down in Downing Street?
I think, it's fair enough what you're saying.
Right.
Remember that his advisor, Dominic Cummings, is still in there. Dominic is doing a fantastic job in really trying to take on the civil service and carve it up, which is really, really important because they've been running the country on behalf of the EU since 1973 without asking us. I understand what you're saying. I'm also rather concerned about the fact that they wish to potentially push for draconian controls of censorship in regard to the internet here in this country.
Right.
And I have personally been to my member of parliament to ask what is all that about. I am deeply concerned about that, and that needs to be followed up. In regard to flip-flopping, are we going to pay this? Are we going to pay that? Do you know what? It could also be clever tactics to try and keep the EU on its toes and just turn around and go, do you know what? No, we're not going to pay it. So I think we all ought to be cautious.
Yes.
at the moment. There's a honeymoon, quite rightly, but I am concerned about the whole internet issue, and I want to keep an eye on that because free speech, it's being attacked.
But didn't
all over the world.
Didn't God, what is his name? The British commie Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, wasn't one of his manifesto promises for free internet for everybody, which I don't trust. You know, if the government is offering free internet, that's another way to spy on you. So I would rather pay for it and remain some semblance of privacy without them giving it to us for free. Because if they're going to give it to us for free, then it means that they can kind of, you know, spy on us, basically.
No, I mean you're absolutely right. We've got some major issues here. As you know, in regard to our press, the next big debate up is whether we actually have a BBC licence fee. We've never seen such blatant, in my opinion, left-wing bias. The BBC licence is approximately £157 per household or per TV user that we have to pay as a tax. That should turn into private subscription if you want to. I mean, Xander, I agree with you, but our free speech is under attack here.
It totally is.
In Canada, it's all over the place.
Yeah,
all over the world.
A friend of mine who is an ex-cop, he's hopefully coming on the show. He's had to sue the local police because they came to him at work, and luckily he runs his own business, or we could have lost his job, regarding some things he'd clicked like on because they were considered to be transphobic. Now we're turning into an Orwellian society where we have to agree or we're labeled as haters. Now, I don't want anyone to be hurt, but that doesn't mean we have to agree with anybody. And the way that things are going, I am concerned that there won't be more stipulations placed upon us as to with regards to what we're allowed to do and say.
I couldn't agree with you more. We've just had Dawn Butler of the Labour Party saying that, you know, when babies are born, they're born without a sex. I mean, for crying out loud.
I saw that.
You know, I will say this. There are two sexes, male and female. Sometimes if it's, 36 babies a year are born with either, a mixture of the X and the Y or too much of the other, which means that some of that is then questionable, but you don't turn around and go, there's now 78 different binary sexes and we can choose this, that and the other. We have not debated any of these issues, and I have to say to you, as far as I'm concerned, there's only male and there's only female. This again is a whole Marxist construct to completely and utterly attack the family. And to me, as I don't apologise for it as a committed Christian, but I believe in Scripture.
Absolutely.
And I just say, sorry, there is no other way. But you're right, the Orwellian, the truth speak, you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't offend anyone. This is getting completely and utterly out of hand. No, we don't want people to be rude. It's how we put it over. But we have now reached a point that is extremely, extremely serious. Just quickly, where Dawn Butler says that now the Labour Party is saying, we're going to expel people from the party if you're transphobic. I've never heard so much ridiculousness in all my life.
So you've got to agree with that. You see, the thing is, for me, if you are an adult and you want to cut off your pee-pee and call yourself Ethel, I don't have a problem with that, but don't tell me I have to like it and buy the T-shirt, or that makes me a hater, because that really concerns me. And the person you were talking about from the Labour Party, that her stupidity was highlighted there, because apparently afterwards what she said she meant was that a baby, that when an egg is first fertilized, until it splits, it's not male or female right away, but it still goes to one or the other. It's not something we decide after the baby is born.
No, the fact that she's even having to clarify that just makes me laugh.
Idiocy.
Just absolutely makes me laugh.
And-
I mean, it's just
And
ridiculous.
they have a leadership race, and it's kind of like, which is the most stupid Labour politician? You know, do you want Rebecca Rondaly, or do you want, you know, Keir Starmer? It's like, do you want to be gassed or poisoned?
Well, the fact is, as far as I'm concerned, is that if they carry on like that, they will not be voted in for generation after generation.
Good.
Keir Starmer needs to be looked at as a number of things to answer for as well. And in someone who is a sir, who's extremely wealthy and a barrister and all the rest. So you just wonder about champagne socialism.
Yeah.
This is the key thing here, is that there is a race to be leader of the Labour Party, but it's a race to the bottom of how stupid.
Yes.
You know, the most stupid thing you can come out with, something that doesn't make sense at all. And the fact that you've even had the present leader of the Labour Party, who has lost, a couple of elections, and he's still there. He should have been kicked out straight away.
And all this about, I will wait until they elect a new leader. No, you go now, you know? Because he's not good for the... And I think he should resign as MP as well, because his commentary during the election was quite concerning, to say the least. And I think that was the response to that. The response to Labour was really the UK saying, we don't want to live in a socialist hellhole. Purely and simply.
It was the UK's reaction to say, actually, we don't want to live in a communist hellhole.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the whole thing of the parallels, as we have the privilege now. You give me the privilege to talk to America now. These are the parallels between what's happening here and what's happening with the Democrats in America.
Yes.
All those Democratic candidates are out and out communists, as far as I'm concerned. And we have the same. So these are the huge warnings, and people want to bring in a totalitarian system.
Isn't it scary, though?
It is extremely concerning. It's extremely scary, and people call us conspiracy theories when basically these people are virtually calling for a one world government, and that the whole issue of climate change is one way that they feel that they're going to force this issue. It even was discussed on a mainstream program in Australia amongst a bunch of conservatives, calling these people out. This is what is going on. Right. This is a totalitarian push across the world.
And they even found out in Australia that actually some of those wildfires were not to do with any climate issues. They were actually started by climate change campaigners. They're actually bringing these things into
87%
reality.
Yeah, 87% of them. Or, there have been a number of arrests before Christmas over this. In arson. You are absolutely right.
Exactly.
And if you go back, those fires, you go back to 1859, etc., and you see that the horrendous fires that have gone on in the past, that have actually been far worse. It's appalling when anyone dies, and I've seen personally firsthand some of the film, etc., from these recent fires, as a dear friend has been over there with her children. This is just horrendous. But to say that this is climate change, where in fact it's the fact that you're not doing
man-made
backburners, and you're not doing decent forest management.
Yes.
It's exactly the same in California.
For sure.
That's why these issues have gone and happened.
I want to jump topic just because we're time bound. I want to talk a little bit about Roger Stone, the long-time GOP operative and Trump confidant, who was sentenced to 40 months behind bars this week for allegedly lying to Congress about his efforts to collaborate with WikiLeaks during the 2016 campaign and supposedly threatening a witness to cover up his actions. Liberal U.S. Attorney Judge Amy Berman Jackson handed down the sentence at the hearing at the federal court in Washington on Thursday. Now, her decision comes amid intense controversy over Attorney General William Barr's highly unusual public intervention in the case over the government's recommended sentence, as well as President Trump's repeated public criticism of the case, and quite rightly so. Is it wise for Donald Trump to pardon Stone prior to appeal for that which is clearly a political prosecution? Because let's face it, he's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't.
Well, I think the president's made it very clear the fact that he's going to let this play out. The fact that what you had was a threat of a 9-year sentence against Roger Stone, a man that I've actually had the privilege to meet here in London. The reason why Barr said what he did, and Judge Janine on Fox has given a fantastic explanation of this, people can look it up, is that the actual recommendation within the sort of statutes is 3.5 years for this kind of offence.
Right.
Now that to us is appalling, because we believe totally that this is a Dinesh D'Souza political hit job that happened against Dinesh, and then they're doing against Roger Stone. But also the judge came out and gave the sentence before the fact that there will be an appeal here. There could be an appeal. The president is trying to let all this play out, and then once it's played out, he will then come in. My own particular prayer is that he will come in and actually turn around and exonerate Roger.
Right. But there needs to be an appeal process first, because they have to go through the process, I think. But what bothers me is that some conservatives out there are saying that the president should intervene now. I don't think he should, because at the end of the day, if he doesn't let this play out, the process play out appropriately, he's going to be accused. I mean, he's going to be accused of stuff anyway, let's face it. He's going to be accused of cronyism. But the concern for me is that at such a crucial time, we need to support President Trump and not be overthinking him right now.
I think you're absolutely right. We need to leave it to the great strategist that he is. I mean, the important thing is that we must not be sidetracked from a number of important things that are going on. Unlike 2016, whatever people think of Alex Jones, etc., but we see the deplatforming, we see the deplatforming of Roger, we see the deplatforming, etc., of people like Paul Joseph Watson, etc. We see all sorts of things going on that are deeply, deeply concerning against true conservative voices and people that are pushing back against the left. Now, they have been after. We look at how they did the raid on Roger, the fact that there were all these police there.
Oh, he's an old guy. There. No disrespect to Roger, but,
Yeah, dragging his wife out, him and all the rest. They do not like the fact that he is this colourful character. They do not like the fact that his links to Reagan and etc., and the fact that he is a very, very good friend of the president for many, many years. But the key point about the judges, I'll just say, is that she sentenced before waiting for whether there was going to be an appeal.
For sure.
Plus, there is this whole thing of, where there is a bias, okay? There is a bias here. Now, we are seeing the judicial system there weaponized in so many different ways. That is the concern. It's all spinning out.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we do have to stop there. But tell people where they can find out more about you and what you're doing.
Thank you very much. And I do apologise. I have a website down at the moment which I'm trying to address, but you can find me on Facebook.
Absolutely.
I've got a new 22-minute drama coming out about communism, so I must come out. I must get to you, and then we must discuss.
We'll have you back very soon to talk more about that. And I'm so sorry to cut you short, but my next guest is already trying to call. But thank you so much, British political commentator Mark Sutherland. Go check him out on Facebook. His information is on the Xander Gibb show page for today. Thank you so much, Mark. Have a wonderful weekend.
Pleasure, and you.
Thanks a lot. Take care. My next guest is Navy vet Kris Saucier. He is a regular to the show, if I can get this to pick up. And he's joining us now live from the USA. Welcome back to the show. Kris Saucier, how is the world with you, Kris?
Hi, Xander. Thanks for having me back on.
It's always a pleasure to have you. Now, I have to start with this because I'm sure most of our listeners know about your situation. You were in the Navy. You worked on a submarine, like a 40-year-old sub. You had selfie pictures on your phone. You were honest enough about it. And other people that did the same thing were just given a slap on the wrist and a demotion. But you were given a year in jail. They totally messed up your life. They really treated you badly. When other people who have been given a pardon by the president have been given a total pardon and restoration of benefits and everything else, and people like Hillary Clinton, who destroyed 33,000 emails, still walk around free. But your battle is still not over, right?
That's correct. Yeah, I think President Trump, when he pardoned me, kind of, he expected that other people within the government would kind of understand that and follow suit and,
right.
Help me restore some of my benefits. But clearly there's still people, deep within the bowels of the government that are making sure that, everything that he does, they're trying to undo. So we're fighting those people right now.
Absolutely. And I found out today that as a part of trying to suppress you and stop you from exercising your rights, they actually suspended your lawyer's license to practice for a year to basically stop the assistance. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, my lawyer made the mistake of having his law license in the state of New York, and so the liberal state of New York with Governor Cuomo, made sure that they suspended his license for no good reason.
Wow.
The people that they claimed he had wronged, they actually testified and said that he hadn't wronged them. But, once again, they made a case from 10 years ago and said, nope, you shouldn't have your license. So now I have no legal representation other than myself.
Well, you see, that's a concern. And I obviously spoke to your lovely wife, Sadie, today. And got a little bit more information because obviously not being, a Navy personnel or a lawyer, I wanted to kind of clarify some of the terminology. So basically you've had two legal letters, and one of the things that has happened is that they've changed your discharge from dishonorable to honorable. Is that right?
Well, so what they did was, I re-enlisted twice while I was in the Navy. So each time you re-enlist, you're honorably discharged.
Right.
So in order to be able to try to at least, get some benefits from the VA, for being a veteran, I, applied to have my discharge upgraded, and they actually, sent me a letter back from a board saying that they were denying me all benefits, and the Navy did the same thing. But then, yes, miraculously, with no explanation, we got a new copy of my discharge paperwork that said that I had served honorably for the first two enlistments, which is true, and then they didn't upgrade my final discharge, the one that, I got kicked out because of all this, but they at least gave me, something that I can at least go get, treatment at the VA for some of the stuff that happened to me while I was in the Navy.
Right. Absolutely. And tell us about the second part of the legal stuff that happened to you recently.
Well, so they sent me that, like I said, with no letter explaining it. It just kind of came, and then all of a sudden I get another letter from the Department of the Navy because I'd, written to the White House, and I guess they either sent it over, or I also sent a letter to the Department of the Navy saying, hey, look, this is what's going on. I received a pardon, and my pardon was supposed to, exonerate me of all the things that happened as a result of my conviction. And
right.
My getting kicked out of the Navy was the direct result of my civilian conviction. And so, I'd asked to have my discharge upgraded, and basically, I've expended all resources by going to the board, and the board denied it. So the last thing I could do was, appeal to the White House and say, hey, look, maybe, they're not following through with what you'd asked. So I got a letter from the deputy director of the Navy, and it basically tells me that there's not much else I can do short of trying to sue the Navy for, getting my discharge upgraded, because, it says if any new evidence comes to light, but I submitted all the evidence that we had, my pardon and all of my honorable service and everything to them when I was trying to get it upgraded. And basically they told me, yep, no, not going to happen, so. And that's what the letter I got, which was kind of weird considering that, then I got a DD-214, my discharge paperwork that was, miraculously upgraded. So, but, it is what it is. We're continuing to fight it. And you're right. What you said about how other people, there's the two other people on my ship that took pictures in the same area. They're both still in the Navy. One of them got promoted. And that's generally, and that's not the abnormal, thing, is that their cases are what normally happens. It gets handled at the lowest level possible, and the punishment fits the crime. And I was always willing to accept that, but the Navy didn't punish me other than after the fact, after I got, a civilian conviction. They let the FBI and the civilian prosecutors go at me and destroy my life, and so
For sure.
It's upsetting because the Navy didn't come to my defense, but also it's upsetting because it should have never been tried in that jurisdiction. And that's why every time I went to court, I wore my uniform. I wore my dress uniform.
Right.
Because I told the judge, look, this isn't the venue that I should be being tried in. I should be tried by a jury of my peers in the military.
Yeah.
I should be court-martialed if that's the case.
Absolutely.
But they didn't want to do that.
But I want to clarify for any naysayers out there, Kris, that if they had treated you like your colleagues had been treated, we wouldn't be having this conversation now, would we? Because you're not saying you shouldn't have been punished. What you're saying is that the severity of the punishment did not fit what you did, especially considering the things that Hillary has done.
Exactly. It's the equivalent of sending somebody to prison for going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Right.
Any reasonable person would say that's insane, but not many people encounter what happened to me, so it's they just take the word of the government, and of course they had a pretty strong press release, basically accusing me of being a spy, which they never even said in court, but that was what they wanted people to think, and so people not understanding it think, wow, this guy did something really bad, but people all over the military do exactly what I did. Is it right? No, I made a mistake, and I was willing to take the consequences within the Navy, but I could have continued on with my career and continued to serve my country, and they cut that short by doing what they did.
For sure. And didn't Donald Trump talk about you at a rally last night about your situation? Tell us a little bit more about that.
He was talking to prisoners that were, getting reformed and coming back out into society, and it was like a job, conference for them, and he was talking about unfair treatment, disproportionate treatment under our justice system, and he was talking about Roger Stone and how, look, he got all this time for, lying to Congress, apparently. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And look, Comey lied to Congress, McCabe lied to Congress, and he got a job, working at CNN, and Comey made, millions of dollars selling a book, and they're joking about it. And Hillary Clinton lied to Congress on numerous occasions about Benghazi and about, her emails, and nobody's holding them to account. And I think he realizes it. That's my case strikes, so close to home with him, because he sees all these people around him, General Flynn, that are just, he didn't even lie to the FBI, and they did that to him. And look at all these other people that lied to the FBI. But it's okay, as long as you're on the inside and you're protected. But if you're on the wrong side of the fence, they're just going to hammer you and destroy your life. And I think President Trump sees that, and I think that's why my cases resonate so much with him, because he sees I was the little guy. I wasn't even they talk about how General Flynn's life's been destroyed, but I mean, not to say that it's okay or anything like that, but he had a lot farther to fall than I did. I was already, not, I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have any way of really mounting a defense, and they knew that, and they did the same thing to me that they did to him, where they threatened my family, and they use these tactics, and they run you out of money, and then you just that's what they do. They destroy
Disgusting.
you. And I think President Trump sees that. And
So
and
un-American.
it's sick.
Do you think that there's some correlation between him discussing you and the fact that they've been issuing subpoenas regarding the FBI and the DOJ lately with regards to their handling of the FISA warrants and the dealings of Hillary Clinton and her crimes being ignored? Do you kind of think that there's a correlation between all of these things?
Well, I certainly hope so. I certainly hope that this is the beginning of, the prosecutor in Connecticut, Durham's, he's actually going to start going after people because they
Right.
did abuse the FISA process. They did violate Carter Page's, rights, the same as they did me and numerous other people, because they act like a band of gangsters. They do whatever they want, and I'm not saying that everybody in law enforcement's that way, but I'm telling you right now, I have experience. They came to my house in a pre-dawn raid, and, my wife and kids were took out of their house, before dawn and by gunpoint. For what? I'm somebody who served their nation for over a decade, and they do that to my family, and it happens time and time again. And then you have Hillary Clinton gets to come in on a Saturday with her lawyer, who's also a co-conspirator, and they get to sit in and make sure that their stories are the same, and they get all these deals. They get to, turn over their laptop, but they get to, make sure it's destroyed afterwards.
Yeah.
Those courtesies are not afforded to the average citizen.
No.
They're not even afforded to the President of the United States right now. So it just boggles the mind that there's two completely different justice systems in our country.
Total two-tier judiciary. But the thing that kind of really attracted me to your case was the fact that this could happen to any one of us, and you could have been my little brother or my cousin or anyone's little younger brother. Do you know what I mean? And the point
absolutely.
is that this wasn't about. This was to me, and the case of, having you on the show, having Sadie on the show, campaigning for a pardon. It was actually about the injustice of it. But that injustice continues because anybody else in your situation now would be receiving those benefits. It's like, it's not even thank you for your service. I mean, I'm saluting you now. Thank you for your service. But they're saying, screw you for your service. And that really bothers me because that is so un-American. And I don't know how that must make you feel after serving your country. Because the one thing I've noticed about you, Kris, is that I would want to kill everybody in this situation. I really would, because that's the kind of guy I am. But you're not bitter. You don't have hate towards these people, do you?
No, and I don't. I mean, it saddens me because I feel the same way as you do, and that's the part that I try to convey to people is that this should scare the crap out of you because it's not. This isn't the oddity what happened to me. This is becoming more and more prevalent that they can target somebody and they can go after you, and there's a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of high profile cases. They're not even afraid of hiding it. Look what like I said, General Flynn. I bring him up, but. Here's a pretty prominent guy, a guy who served his country like I did, but for, a really long time, 33 years he was in the Army, and he proudly served his country. And look what this guy has gone through. They can do it to anybody, and it should scare people because, I wasn't politically connected like him, and you could say that they're targeting the Trump campaign and everybody around him, but I was just an average, guy just trying to serve his country, and they just ran roughshod across my life,
right?
And it didn't even faze them, and that's what. And up until that point, I never thought that could happen. And I think a lot of people go about their daily lives until they know somebody that's happened to, and they think that's the case as well. They think, well, as long as I'm doing the right thing or I'm a good person, I'm going to be all right. And that's just not the case. All they got to do is put a target on your back, and when you receive a arrest warrant or a warrant that says your name versus the United States government, that's enough to strike fear in just about anybody.
For sure.
Sane. I mean, and that can happen to anybody, and there's nobody slowing them down. They, and And I think President Trump realizes that, and I think he's doing his best that he can to correct it. But there's some serious issues at the Department of Justice and at the FBI, and there needs to be some serious changes. And I hope that Barr takes it upon himself to go after these people that just ruined a lot of people in this country. It's not just mine. Faith in the FBI and the justice system, because they see that how can you trust a law enforcement agency that doles out justice, not according to the laws that are written, but based on who they favor and who they
Right.
want to go after.
Right.
And just target anybody.
Because you've really hit the nail on the head there, because all of this for me is that anyone charged with upholding the law, that's all it should be about. Not about your politics, not about who you favor, not about who you support. The law is the law is the law. And to treat one person more or less favorably than another is indicative of the fact that we have a two-tier judiciary in the United States, and that is not good. Now, we are coming to the... Go ahead. I'll let you respond to that.
Yeah. No, and I mean, to that point, one of the things that Judge Underhill, the judge that oversaw my case, said, and he really, hammered me on during sentencing, was that, I deserve to be punished harshly for this, because I had been in a position of public trust and I had violated that public trust. Well, what position does the director of the FBI or the assistant director of the FBI or the Secretary of State hold then? Is that not a position of public trust?
For sure.
Are those people not supposed to be held to a higher
More
standard?
so.
Apparently, they're not supposed to be held to a higher standard than a junior military member. So that's the other thing, is that these people, and by the way, Judge Underhill was appointed by Bill Clinton, kind of like Roger Stone's was appointed by Obama. So
saw that today.
These judges are very much politically motivated. That's the other disconcerting part about a lot of this. But these guys, they sit up on their bench and they preach to people, but then the same people within the Justice Department let their friends walk.
Right.
As long as your name's Hillary Clinton or Comey, you can do whatever you want.
But weren't your violations different from Hillary's? Because hers were official secrets and yours were I'm sorry, I'm not good with the terminology. Yours was different, wasn't it? Yours wasn't as bad as hers, basically.
Oh, not nearly. So there's different tiers of classification. So, obviously like the hierarchy of it, like hot sauce, right?
Right.
You've got the fire hot sauce that's really bad, and then you get the mild one at the bottom. Well, mine was the lowest level of classified information that you can have, which is considered confidential, which the very definition of it, according to the National Intelligence Agency, is that it will cause minimal to no national harm if revealed to a foreign adversary. So hers, on the other hand, was the very top echelon of it, which is top secret SCI, which is secret compartmentalized information, which means that it's only supposed to be available on an air-gapped SIF where there's no outside connection. So she had to, in order to have it on her computer, have already committed a crime of illegally removing it from a safe place. And then on having it on her server, she had it on an unsecured device, which is a direct violation of the law. It's the same exact law that they claimed that I violated by having an unsecured device having the images, which were the pictures of a classified.
Right. But didn't she let the cleaner check her emails? You never showed your pictures to anybody, did you? That was the other difference.
Yeah, that's a true statement. Yeah, I mean, President Trump yesterday, I think he got a little carried away and said, "Oh, he showed it to his mom and his friend." I actually never showed it to anybody, and I never texted it or put it on my Facebook or Instagram or on the internet. It was on a SD card on my phone, and that was the only place it existed.
Right.
And and they even admitted that during prosecuting me. And so the crime doesn't require that you transmit it, though she did transmit it, so that's another crime.
Right.
But the only requirement for that crime under the federal code is that you possess or that you remove classified documents or images or materials from their secure facility or place,
right,
and you place them on an unsecured device, and then when you find out about it and you find out oopsie daisy, I did that, you don't turn them over to the lawful authority. So hers, she got told by Congress, hey, we think you got these on here. What did she do? She went home and bleach bitted them and smashed stuff and didn't turn them over to them. So that's right there in and of itself, as soon as she admitted that to Congress, was in fact, breaking that crime or that law yet again.
Absolutely. But the difference is,
Yeah.
Kris, you went to jail. She didn't. She's still walking around free. She was allowed to run for president. But you still went to jail. And I don't think, and don't write to me, people, and say that I'm dissing the president, because I'm not. I support Donald Trump 200%. But this should have been the whole caboodle for me, regarding your the brain has died. What's the word? The pardon should have been total, and it should have been effective of everything. Wiped. But like Hillary's emails, but it wasn't. And I think that is something that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. I'm all for, and we've been fighting this for a long time, but, honestly, Xander, the thing that would bring me the greatest satisfaction, and see, I'm not angry about this, is I am sad for, what this means for our country.
Yes.
If this is how brazen they're going to be, that they're going to let certain people escape justice, then it's a really scary day. And so, what would make me really happy is if they either held them, Comey, McCabe, Strzok and Page, all the people that obfuscated and hid stuff and lied to Congress.
Yes.
and lied to FBI and did all these things, if they held them to the same standard that they held me and Michael Flynn and everybody else, that they decided to persecute, if they held those people, Hillary Clinton, to the same standard, if they're not going to do that, then they need to exonerate all of us and say, well,
they do.
We prosecuted you unfairly, and they need to pay us back for all that we've lost.
Yes.
Because I'll tell you, I've probably lost at this point, in future and everything like that, over $1 million as a result of this.
Wow.
Because of my benefits loss, of all the, I had my house foreclosed, I had vehicles repossessed.
Wow.
I lost all my retirement savings that I'd been saving. And I'll never, it'll take me years if I recover from this. And,
for sure.
And I'd say the same for Michael Flynn, for General Flynn.
Totally.
And, it's the long-lasting effects that people, say, oh, you went to prison and then it's done. Well, you're out of prison.
No.
It must be all better now. Well, no, it's not. You still fight. You got to make up for all that you lost.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I have to leave it there, but I just want to ask you one more question. Will you be writing to Hillary Clinton when she's in jail? Because I know I will.
Yeah, I'll ask her how solitary confinement is, because they put me in there for a week. So I think that she'd really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Considering she likes to hear her voice so much.
Yeah, for sure. I look forward to it, not because I'm a mean person, but because I believe in justice. What your contact information, the website and everything is on the XRAD show page for the Xander Gibb show page for today. But how can people help you practically? Is there still a fund? Can people donate to you? Who can they write to say, hey, this needs to be done?
Well, I'd encourage people to write to their congressmen and senators, and I'd encourage them to, continue pushing what, obviously, Devin Nunes and Matt Gaetz are pushing for justice, and I would encourage people to vote for President Trump come election day.
Absolutely.
And make sure that the people that are truly supporting our freedom and equality in this country are put in places of power where they can make a difference.
Absolutely. We are out of time, Kris, but thank you for joining us again. I am sure we'll have you back when you have more news or when there is a new campaign to get support from. We are here for you on the Xander Gibb Show and the listeners. Please give my love to your family and have a wonderful weekend.
You too, Xander. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks a lot, buddy. You take care. That was Kris Saucier, Navy vet. Please make sure that you go to the website, helpkrissaucier.weebly.com. And the link to that is on the Xander Gibb Show page on the Facebook for today. Not had your fill of the Gibbster. You can catch me on the real side later, 7 Pacific, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, and 3 a.m. in the UK if you are still up that late. So grab a cup of tea and stick around. That's all we have time for. We'll be back next Friday, 3 Pacific, 5 Central, 6 Eastern, and 11 in the UK. Thanks to my guests, Mark Sutherland and Kris Saucier. Thanks to Chet for calling in. Don't forget to check out his show this weekend. Please click the share button before you go and contemplate your actions and remember that they have repercussions. I really do love you all. I hope you have enjoyed the show, and we will be back with you next time. Please click the share button and have a very safe weekend. I'm hoping I don't get blown away. I love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.
It has been good to me this time around. Things were they were bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact, and I can find no rest. This is love, yeah, love. Never known true love before. Seen so many counterfeits that left me on the floor. This is love, yeah, love. All will come to those who wait. Time it cannot know the bounds, and era don't dictate.
Click the bell button and subscribe to keep up with the Xander Gibb Show. Oh yes, sirree.